Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the session on enabling inclusive digital development, regulatory capacity building through multilingual peer-to-peer learning between Europe and Sub-Saharan Africa. Before we begin, it is important to understand why this conversation matters. Digital transformation is no longer simply about building networks. The technologies that shape our societies are evolving very rapidly, and regulators must be equipped to respond. To this challenge is as much as strengthening institutions as it is about expanding infrastructure. So, to contextualize this session, let's watch this short video.
Every day, billions of people connect. They learn, they work, they build businesses, they access healthcare, they stay connected to the people who matter most. But behind every call, every message, every digital service, something essential is at work. Telecom regulation sets the rules that help communication networks stay reliable, affordable, secure, and accessible. Telecom regulators collaborate with national and international digital development actors to utilize regulations, guidelines, and policies to ensure smooth network functioning, promote competition to improve services, and ensure fair pricing to safeguard consumer interests, expand connectivity, particularly in rural areas and for individuals with disabilities, and strengthen cybersecurity to maintain dependable communication networks. A major challenge, however, is ensuring that regulation remains inclusive, sustainable, and responsive to people's needs. Across Africa, telecom regulation programs and digital inclusion initiatives are supporting education, healthcare, commerce, and digital skills development.
We don't all start life at the same starting point. Various social circumstances have defined our starting point in life, and as such, being aware of that will allow regulators to invest equitably and bring that meaningful connectivity.
Through initiatives like iPRIS, regulators work together, share knowledge, and strengthen their capacity to build a more connected and inclusive digital future.
So we've seen and heard how telecom regulation shapes far more than communication networks. It influences how people access education, healthcare, public services, economic opportunities, and digital inclusion. So the question for this session is, how do we equip regulators with the knowledge, the skills, and collaborative networks they need to deliver these outcomes? Today, we will explore how regulatory capacity building, peer learning, international cooperation can help strengthen institutions and ultimately deliver these outcomes. And I'm pleased to be joined by representatives from SPIDER, PTS, IRR, ANACOM, who have each played a key role in the digital transformation agenda. So let's begin. And I would like to invite Edna Soomre from SPIDER. Edna, SPIDER for many years has worked at the intersection of technology and digital development. My question is, what have you learned about the role of regulation in ensuring that digital transformation benefits everyone?
Thank you, Aliyu, and so great to see all of you here. Good morning, everyone. Many of you know this project by heart because you're alumni, and many of you will be part of it in the future, I'm sure. It's my pleasure to be here today to represent SPIDER, which is based at Stockholm University, but as you say, has for the past 2 decades worked on inclusive digitalization that benefits all. And I'm here today as the project leader of iPRIS, a Team Europe initiative funded by the European Commission, the government of Luxembourg, present here today, as well as Sweden. iPRIS is a very unique project, and we hope to give you a flavor of that in today's short session. Digitalization for Spider is not something that is an end in itself. It's a means to realize the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as the African Union's Digital Transformation Strategy 2020 to 2030. And iPRIS is central to that work. We bring together regulators from Sub-Saharan African regions. They are all part of the regional regulatory organizations, which Aliyu is part of, and Madame Bernice represents here today also. And they come together and work peer-to-peer with their EU colleagues across several areas of regulation, getting to know the context, the challenges, but also the opportunities. And together we build relationships over a long period of time for a digital future that can be resilient and ready for the opportunities of tomorrow. The peer-to-peer model is unique because not only do they meet, the regulators meet their peers from different parts of the world, but they also come across representatives from the private sector, from academia, from digital rights-based organizations, and international digitalization expertise. This allows us to grow a community of practice that together can find the solutions for tomorrow's challenges. But why we are here today with my colleagues from Sweden, Portugal, and Luxembourg is that this project is delivered across languages. We have cycles in English, in French, and Portuguese. And that's because the reality is that language barriers can impede harmonization and collaboration. Across the region, you will see on this map that sometimes neighbors are not able to collaborate as well as they would like to. And with iPRIS, we hope to bring that down to a manageable opportunity. What Spider brings to this project is our focus on gender, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because we know that the real needs of people need to guide projects like this one. The real needs will build trust. They will enable people to access opportunities that will change their lives. Regulation is absolutely foundational to this. And that is also why regulation has to be equitable and inclusive, so that we can give people the access that they need. Because technology is only adopted when it is trusted and used and bring value to people. Even if it's football games, it brings something to the lives of people. But iPRIS is really about institutional strengthening. Strong institutions bring continuity. It brings trust and builds resilience. And together, regulators from Africa and Europe can find tomorrow's solutions to challenges that might be ahead of us. For Spider, as the operational coordinator of the iPRIS project, we are delighted to have such a strong community of peers and alumni online watching, but also in the room. And we encourage you to talk to them after. Because human-centered technology must be inclusive. Otherwise, we will not realize digital transformation for everybody. And we hope that this contributes a little. Thank you, Aliyu.
Thank you, Edna. Thank you, Edna. One theme that stands out is that from the iPRIS experience is that learning does not move in only one direction. I think the program creates opportunities for regulators from different regions to learn from one another and ensure that they tackle sort of common challenges together. And I think this leads me now to Katarina from PTS to have a deeper look. Katarina, one of the unique features of the program is that learning flows in both directions. My question is, what have European regulators learned from their African counterparts through this collaboration? And how has it really enriched regulatory thinking on both continents?
Thank you very much, Aliyu. And thank you for this opportunity to represent the Swedish Post and Telecom Authority and iPRIS at this WSIS event. And PTS is a strategic partner as well as a regulatory content and policy lead of iPRIS. Experiences and challenges are shared across borders between the African regulators and between Africa and Europe, peer-to-peer learning. European and African regulators face shared challenges, and we focus on discussing best practices both from the African continent and from Europe. We meet regulators in Sub-Sahara from both west, east, and the southern part of Africa. As a regulator, we at PTS, we have a lot of experience of working with capacity building in Africa. For iPRIS, we have done 6 cohorts so far, and we have met with telecom regulators from 19 English-speaking countries so far. And as Edna mentioned, I'm really happy to see some of our alumni in the room. It's so great to see you again. And in the initial training session, PTS presents 8 core thematic areas of the European regulatory work. PTS describes the Swedish model and the EU way of working, where we share best practice from our markets. Our long experience from working within BEREC cater for that we also bring the European perspective into the discussions. Through structured knowledge sharing and discussions, the participants turn these lessons into action. The regulators from Sub-Sahara bring their own projects to work with individually. Discussions are held with the regulators about applicability in their own context. Very often, experts from the other Sub-Saharan regulators can share their experiences in the matter. So it's not about exporting solutions. It's sharing of knowledge, expertise, experience. And since we are together for almost 3 weeks to start out with, that's a very good foundation for network building. And the iPRIS alumni community allows a long-term knowledge sharing and result follow-up with former participants. And many of the Sub-Saharan regulators projects have a focus on writing guidelines as a first step in policy development. At PTS, we work with the same methodology. Soft guidelines over time turn into a more concrete framework of regulation. I would say that the experts from PTS gets a lot of new insights from the discussions with the experts from the African regulators. They often reflect on how things can be done differently from the Europe way. For example, the satellite market is more exposed in the Sub-Saharan countries, where the European market see how new technologies like satellite can affect the market dynamics and needs to be taken into consideration. And PTS, Sweden's national telecom regulator and a member of BEREC since 2010, has been operating for more than 3 decades. Established in 1992, is one of Europe's longest-standing telecom regulators. With extensive experience delivering peer-to-peer regulatory capacity building programs in Africa, PTS brings proven expertise while continuing to learn from African regulators, tackling many of the same digital policy and regulatory challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Katarina. Another important lesson from iPRIS that knowledge exchange depends on accessibility. And what I got from you is that language should never be a barrier to collaboration and learning. Talking about language barriers and exchange, I would like to turn to Tantely from Ireland. Tantely, the Francophone cohorts have brought together several countries, several regulators, while also creating links to European networks. Ireland has played an important role in connecting iPRIS delegates with the European regulatory networks. Now, how has this collaboration helped strengthen peer learning and cooperation within the French language iPRIS cycles? Tantely.
Thank you, Aliyu. And good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. I hesitated between French and English. Well, I choose English. It is a great honor to address you today at the WSIS Forum, where really important conversations about global connectivity and digital inclusion are happening, and especially in the room next door this morning. I represent the ILR, the multi-sectoral regulator of Luxembourg, a small country, one of the most diverse and inclusive in the world, home to over 180 nationalities, a place where residents speak on average 3.6 different languages. Each one of them makes Luxembourg a common ground, and that diversity shapes how we think about regulation, cooperation, and inclusion. Now, zoom out. The Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie tells us that over 138 million people in Sub-Saharan Africa speak French, making it the fourth most spoken language in the world. Linguistic inclusion, then, is not a side issue, it is a precondition. Without it, entire populations get left behind. My colleagues from Schyberg and PTS in Stockholm understood that, and I want to thank them to bringing us into this project. It is from this standpoint that I want to share how ILR has used European regulatory networks and strategic partnerships to support the iPRIS French language cycles. To make it happen, we lean on a key partner, Fratel. Some of you know this network, the Francophone Telecommunications Regulation Network. ARCEP, the French regulator, serves as the executive secretariat of Fratel, and around 50 regulators from Canada to Madagascar, united by language and by shared challenges such as connectivity, digital inclusion, data governance, or emerging technologies. And as Katarina mentioned, we draw on BEREC networks too, and I would like to thank my colleagues from BEREC here in this room. Concretely, 2 cohorts, 21 Francophone African experts each, from national regulators and regional bodies, sitting down with European counterparts from Luxembourg, Belgium, France, and also Germany. We found some Francophone colleagues there to work through real change initiatives together. And why does this matter? Because peer learning isn't a nice add-on. It is what makes projects actually succeed. It strengthens teamwork, it accelerates problem solving, it builds capability that lasts beyond the training session. And iPRIS does something else remarkable. It bridges English and French-speaking regulators across Africa, and soon with Portuguese-speaking regulators too. You're sure, Manuel. And on the ground, just one example, a Tanzanian team shared its experience with Gabonese counterparts on rolling out fiber infrastructure in an orderly way. That's exactly what Edna meant when she said iPRIS reduces language barriers. It's really not theoretical, it's happening. This approach is also fully aligned with the EU Team Europe philosophy, pooling expertise and resources across institutions, member states, and development partners toward common objectives. Through the iPRIS French cycles, ILR supports a simple but powerful model. Share experiences, compare approaches, build networks that last. And the objective is not simply to transfer knowledge one way from one region to another, but to build communities of practice where regulators can learn from each other with a common language and develop solutions adapted to their own contexts. Our ambition going forward is to keep strengthening these bridges between Europe and Africa, between regulators and policymakers, between innovation and governance. because the future of digital connectivity will not depend on technology alone. It will depend on our ability to cooperate, to share knowledge, and to build trust. And this is precisely what iPRIS makes possible. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Tantely. So the multilingual journey of iPRIS continues. Building on the English and French experiences we just heard, the project, I understand, is preparing to engage the Lusophone regulators. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to bring in Manuel from ANACOM. Manuel, as preparations begin for the Lusophone iPRIS cohort, there is an exciting opportunity to deepen collaboration among Portuguese-speaking regulators. The question now is, what opportunities do you see for Lusophone countries to learn from one another and accelerate digital transformation through shared experiences and regulatory cooperation?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Bom dia a todos. First of all, I must say that I'm really impressed with the translation, the real-time translation that we are having today. A couple of words that are amazing, but at the end, I believe that we should consider the help that AI is giving us, but the importance of actually hearing each other. So, I'm from the Portuguese telecommunications regulator. Thank you for being here. It's always wonderful to be in a space where we share ideas, see the future, but also bringing to the table discussions regarding the real life and what people need. Most of what can be said and the advantages of the project, iPRIS project, are already presented, but let me share with you a slightly different perspective. As regulators, we are used to focus on our markets, and even when we are sharing our practice, when we are sharing our ideas, our difficulties, we at the end of the day focus on our markets, focus on our consumers, the quality of the services. But there is a different perspective on regulation, and that is the perspective of regulatory cooperation. Not only, but also, and most importantly, to learn, to share solutions, to share technologies and how we use the technologies, but also as a tool to improve trade, to make trade more secure, to make trade easier, but also nowadays, and because of the digital networks, regulatory cooperation will allow us to actually create more economic value by actually promoting the networks between different countries. And this is why ANACOM, for a long time, has been working in collaboration with all Portuguese-speaking countries. We are part of an association, as it happens with our French colleagues, Arctel. Actually, you have here our secretariat. Arctel joins all the Portuguese-speaking countries' telecommunications regulators. We have long experience in sharing our knowledge. And we also promote bilateral collaboration, always in the perspective of learning from each other. Yes, we know that we can sometimes bring new ideas and new technologies to our colleague countries, but at the same time, we always have the opportunity to see how the different countries manage to overcome difficulties, to implement new solutions to challenges that are faced by all of us. And in that sense, the regulatory cooperation is much more than just learning or just sharing. Having said this, iPRIS project, it's first of all something that we see as a complement to our continuous international work, but it brings something new, and that is the fact that it focuses on creating a solution, a practical solution, something that will change the telecommunication environment in the countries with which we are working. And we look at that possibility as not only bringing together ideas, but also actually working on something that at the end of the day will create value for each one of the Portuguese-speaking countries in Africa. The simple fact that we are entering a community where we can join the Portuguese language with the English-speaking countries and the French-speaking countries, it's a good way to move forward and to strengthen the capacity of African countries to improve the way they use telecommunications, and most importantly, to create a better environment to implement the future digital networks, not only in what regards the telecommunication framework, but also all the infrastructure that is needed for edge computing, data centers, and the capacity to promote economic value from the digital ecosystem. As you can see, we have 5 different Portuguese-speaking countries that are scattered along Africa. This allows us to give a very good, or to have a very good perspective on the relation from the north to south in the Atlantic, but also the connection to the other side of the world. And we believe that working together with our colleagues in Europe and bringing the European team as collaborators to Africa will be of gain for every one of us. So looking forward to start to work in 2027, and hopefully 1 year from now we'll be here talking about results. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Manuel. From what I've heard from you all, from all your perspectives, one common theme emerges. Strong institutions, continuous learning and collaboration are very essential for regulation to keep pace with the rapidly evolving technologies. So before opening the floor for questions and discussions, I would like to offer a few reflections from a regional perspective. First, for many years, Africa's digital development conversation focused primarily on infrastructure, expanding coverage, connecting communities, and increasing access. Now, those priorities remain important, but increasingly, our challenge is not only infrastructural, it is institutional. Second, today, regulators are faced with emerging issues which they must address, such as AI, cybersecurity, satellite services, digital identity, and digital platforms. Now, this requires institutions that can learn, that can adapt, and that can collaborate. The third point is such peer learning accelerates that process. So one regulator may have solved a problem, a challenge, while which another operator is facing. So programs such as iPRIS transform individual experiences into institutional capacity. Fourth, the next challenge is not simply connectivity, it is meaningful connectivity. The goal is not only to connect people, obviously, to networks, it is connecting people to opportunity. And in closing, and if Africa wants affordable access, stronger digital economies, and inclusive digital transformation, I think investment in infrastructure must be matched with investment in institutions, because ultimately strong institutions really determine and turn digital connectivity into meaningful outcomes for our citizens. So at this point in time, I would like to now open the floor for question, comments. I'd like to urge you to introduce yourselves and make your comments short and sharp, so I will give the opportunity for many to contribute to this discussion. Thank you. The floor is open, please. Have any questions?
Maybe I can urge, you might have seen on the screen that we have, next year we will have covered 39 sub-Saharan African countries. And as Tantely said, many of the European peers have assisted. In the room, I can see the Kingdom of Eswatini. I can see Uganda, and they can also share their experiences of how the experience of going through the project is, because the countries take part at least twice.
May I add that maybe you can take the floor in French or in Portuguese?
Why not?
Why
not?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Edna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. And indeed, my name is Winnie Muholi from Uganda, and I work with the regulatory authority, Uganda Communications Commission. And I had the opportunity to be part of the previous cohort. That was 2025B. And one of my takeaways really that I shared through the sessions was the opportunity to not only interact with a team from the European states, but giving you an opportunity to meet regulators within your regional basis, because we were with the teams from Tanzania, generally from IACO, West Africa, South Africa, Eswatini, and just coming together and sharing our challenges. Many times we seek out to benchmark just from the international level, but the opportunity to meet fellow regulators within your continent, there is a lot that you can share and understand from the economic basis. The challenges don't differ so much. And later, because many times we have issues that we want to address at the regulatory level, but coming in and having guidance from the experts and the team to make sure that whatever initiative you have on ground, you take on throughout and make sure that you complete it and you have results. That's key, because many times we have issues that we bring up and probably leave them hanging. And finally, just to also listen to other countries' challenges. You can find that you may have come with your own initiative or challenge, but you realize that your neighboring countries also have challenges that you might experience home. So you can go back and share with them knowledge from another country, and you can directly benchmark from that country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that comment.
Thanks, Edna, and good morning, colleagues. Mongeni from the Kingdom of Eswatini. And just to add from what my colleague has said, I think the peer education becomes very, very vital because as Africa, we can find other solutions within ourselves. The second part is because Europe has developed far and wide, and the involvement of PDS comes in handy also in the, it helps to open your mind to say what are the other possibilities that are in there. I think one of the greatest opportunities is to go and visit Ericsson and understand how they look at things and how much money they spend in research and how much time they spend in influencing now in terms of the legislation, going to the forums, like one that is happening in ITU later in the year. Those are some of the things that we need to participate in if we were to be counted and influence the landscape of our environment. So it is a huge opportunity, and I will greatly encourage other member states to join in and be part of this, and encourage the sponsors of iPRIS not to take away the money, because it comes in handy and it helps us to grow as a community. Thanks.
Thank you for the follow-up insight. Okay, we have another speaker. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think you can hear me because I can hear an echo. Perfect. Hi, everyone, and thank you, iPRIS, and thank you to the panel for this session. I am Christina. I work with an organization called Co-Develop Fund. We work with governments across the world in helping them build and accelerate the adoption of digital public infrastructure. I saw, and it was very reassuring to see this in the iPRIS catalog a mention of M-Pesa and payment systems in Africa, and how regulators have to now reconcile with new issues coming up with digital payments, but also ID systems. It's really reassuring to also hear stories from Francophone countries and the experiences of working alongside European regulators. So I have two questions. One is, it's really nice to see the legacy of the regulatory capacity building program. Are there examples that you can share of how this program manages to stay responsive to very fast approaching issues that very often new regulators with new mandates are facing? An example that we have from our experience is working, for example, with data protection authorities, where protection is kind of a very intuitive part of the role, but something around making the sharing of data easy and making it easier to flow not only within government, but also with trusted partners outside of it, is a new issue that new regulators have to deal with. Very curious to see how the iPRIS program deals with this and how regulators find this useful. And second, if there's already some indications that you can make for new partners to join the initiative, especially as a supporter and funder for regulatory capacity building for co-develop, we'd be really interested to know how new topics can be included into the fold of regulatory capacity building under, obviously, the broader umbrella of digital policy. Thank you very much. And thanks again for hosting this session.
Thank you for the two questions. Perhaps I think any of the panelists can please jump in and answer, please.
Or the alumni.
Yes, or the alumni. I mean, we're all here. Please feel free to jump in. Manuel, want to give a go?
Just a quick reaction, because thank you very much for the questions, and thank you very much for presenting your work. If I may, and don't take me wrong, but the way you approach the solution, saying that we have solutions in what regards data challenges and the future of digital networks and the digital ecosystem. That perspective is something that we have already been doing in, I believe, our own associations. For me, the novelty with iPRIS and the way I see that iPRIS is responsive now and will continue to be responsive is because we sit down with the other countries and we actually discuss with them what it's needed right now in their perspective. So we don't bring into the table solutions, we bring into the table a discussion on something that it's needed to be done in that country during that year. It might be related with data, it might be related with AI, but it can be related with organizational issues. It can be related with very relevant issues for regulation, like accountancy or tariffs. So for me, iPRIS, the reason why it is responsive, and it will continue to be responsive, is the fact that we sit down not only discussion about the future and the new questions that are being raised about any topic, but the fact that we get into a discussion starting by asking, what can we do to make things better? And then with the country, we develop something concrete. Second question, or a second issue, it's the fact that we are sharing not only knowledge, but also, and what was mentioned about visiting an industry or a factory. I believe it was a visit to Ericsson. It's really, really good to have the opportunity to go into a place and see what is actually being done. I must say that I came into this conference today wanting to go to 2 or 3 sessions. I end up staying at the Lego corner, just watching young people building robots. And I was looking at them and saying, oh God, this is amazing. Look at that one and the solutions that they are finding. So this opportunity to go to a place and actually see people interacting and creating useful solutions for challenges that we all face.
Thank you for the insight. Tantely, would you like to?
Just very short comments. I would like to say that even the work of a regulator is well defined we have to be flexible, agile, and creative. With these networks we are building at iPRIS, it helps each other to find solutions adapted to their own context. I would like also to say that when the French cohorts come in Luxembourg, we are visiting a chantier, some works, fiber deployment, and it's really concrete. And I would like also to thank our incumbent in Luxembourg for organizing that, because it's really they mobilize a lot of people, a lot of workers deploying fiber on the spot for us. So, and it's really important, as Manuel mentioned. Thank you.
We are so flexible that we are already thinking about it.
All right, thank you, Tantely. Okay, Katarina, you want to say a few words?
Just a quick comment as well. And of course, as a regulator, you always have to be on top of new technologies and try to keep up. And even though we are in the project discussions, we are discussing specific topics, but of course, new technologies come into the discussions as well, because it affects it in one way or another. So whatever comes in our way, we also try to share among each other to make sure that as a regulator you stay relevant and you are up to date.
Thank you. I think to wrap up, I would like to bring in Edna from Spider to...
Thank you. I'm going to mention that our regulators are amazing because they serve the people of their country, irrespective of where they're from. And I will use a few examples, just like my colleague Tantely said. They are very practical projects. They relate to the needs of specific parts of their country or region, and the regulatory organizations, the regional regulatory organizations assist them to find solutions first within their region. We work very hard with project management and making sure that we set up credible, achievable projects that build on the momentum of the institution. And we have to remember that technology is used by people. So I have an example from Ghana, NCA. They saw that the population in the border town Aflao, bordering Togo, there was great challenges using digital services because the signals from neighboring country was so strong. So the first instant you think AI, you think forward, but for them it was to ensure that people understood how to not incur charges and to really be able to control their devices in a way that doesn't make them financially, poor, and to be able to use their positioning as a trade town in a way. And you saw some of the footage from there, but also very practical examples working with the regulators from Europe. How have you made sure that people with disabilities are included? Tanzania works on a project like that now. And so they are very short, distinct, and they keep working and keep challenging each other. We do also fight in a constructive way within the project and to really make something very visible. But also we do work with foresight, being prepared for future challenges.
Yeah, just to give a very practical example of everything that we have been saying. A couple of months ago, like 2 or 3 months ago, we had a problem in Portugal because there is a very small village next to Spain and people are paying more than 2,000 euros because of Spanish roaming. So maybe your solution in Africa interests us. We have to talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manuel. I think our time is up. This brings us to the end of the session. However, before we close, I would like to make a few announcements. We'll have a signing ceremony between Spider and ANACOM to kick off the Lusophone cohort project. And I also like to mention that the Spider leads and iPRIS project leads will be available next few days. If you have any questions, discussions you'd like to take up with them, please feel free to block them anywhere, even at the corridor, to register your questions. I would like to thank everyone for attending this session, and this session is now closed. Thank you, everyone.